Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for part three of our car prices in Poland prediction from Kaggle. And so we're going to start the bivariate analysis here. And like I typically do, you probably see me a lot of times in classes. So df.columns to get the list of our column names that we're going to use. And so this is a quick, easy way to copy and paste and select the columns that we want to use, just to save time in the interest of running up the graphic we're going to run. I'll say for the name for it in a second. I want to just use the continuous features, just so we can use all of them that are numeric and some that aren't. But this makes it a lot quick and easier to run it. As you'll see, the pair plot, or the plot we're going to use, takes a little bit of time. So although I spoiled what plot we're going to do, we would do the pair plot. And what we'll do is data equals df. And so this will give us, and what we want to do is we want to do inside features continuous. This was a plot. This is quite a large data set, so we'll run this right now. And this is going to give us a little plot of our data set, and we'll wait for it to run. Okay, here we go. We have our pair plot. So we can see here in the diagonal, we get a histogram, and we can get a good distribution, a sense of the distribution of our data set. So, and we can see here, we do see some outliers right here, as we had identified in the univariate analysis. You can see all the way up here, there are quite a few outliers that could affect our modeling. So something to be cautious of when we're continuing with the pre-processing, and to note right now for our pre-processing. So what we're going to do, I thought this would be interesting to look by the fuel type, see if we can gain any insights by that. So we're just going to append to our features continuous list. We're going to add one more item to that list, and we're going to call it fuel. So if you look at that list, you can see here we get the fuel on afterwards. Now what this does is we're not going to really use this in the continuous plots in our bivariate scatter plots, but we're going to use this as the hue argument. So let's run this, and I'll explain what happens here. So again, we're going to the data frame equals to the continuous features. So we're just going to plot those continuous features. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to change the hue of the graphic by the fuel type. So this gives us, hopefully this will give us some insight into the distributions and how fuel type affects the rest of our data set. So let's wait for this to finish. Okay, so we're done our pair plot here. And if you ran this, you do know that this does take a while, because changing this fuel type, it's quite a few rows in this data set, and it's going to add quite a bit of complexity to plotting this out. And so we can see lots of interesting things here. So much to gather from this, but one of the, I guess I would say, important things, one important thing is to look at when we have vol engine, when we have it by the diesel fuel type or the gasoline fuel type. I think the one thing to point out here is that it is noticeably different distributions between those two types. So that could really help us in the way that we build a model, and we can look at each one of these histograms or these bivariate plots and really start to notice little differences like this. And really, again, we can see here that the outliers are also happening all in the gasoline fuel type. And if this is a real data set, we really want to ask why this is happening, and why over here, when we see when mileage is really quite high, it's the hybrid and the diesel fuel types. And so that might make sense. It might not make sense, depending on, this is quite extreme mileage. So it could be a typo, or it could make sense. This is a quick way for us to identify that.